Hello again, Kate Brown Pernia for Why Not a Hat? Today, I want to share with you an exciting new acquisition for my studio. Earlier this month, I went to visit some friends up in Rochester, New York for a few days, and on the last day of my visit, we drove out to Farmington, New York, where there's a huge antique mall. I believe it's called the Ontario Antiques Mall. We all had to wear masks, and when we got in there, we realized there were more employees than there were customers that day, which was great. It's a sprawling big place with lots and lots of booths and a lot of junk, to say the truth. Most of those places are, but you always have to look for the little treasure. And right at the end of the day, just when we were getting tired of browsing, my friend Jerry spotted this find that I'm going to show you now. Isn't this fantastic? This is what's known as a puzzle block. It's in 5 pieces. If you turn it over, you pull the center out and the blocks collapse so that you can take the hat that you make off without distorting the hat. Now this is a very nicely restored block. It's quite heavy, and it's the pedestal that's very heavy. It's got a piece of heavy metal on the bottom, which makes me think it was part of an industrial production at one time. But it was a good price, and we were lucky. The day we were there, everything was 20% off, so I got even a better bargain out of it. Today I'm going to show you what I made on this block. But before that, you want to protect your block by covering it with plastic wrap or a plastic bag. I usually use saran wrap because it clings pretty well. Just because I don't want the moisture. I'm going to flip on my heavy-duty steamer here. I seem to be saran wrap challenged today. Here we go. Just a gentle pull. Now, my friend Nancy is a great thrift store person, and she finds things all the time which she brings to me. She found this wonderful soft yellow fur felt hat blank, actually, a hood, which yet last night I sprayed with water, and well, it looks like it was a hat because it's a little soiled on the inside. So once upon a time this was a hat that was taken apart. But anyway, we're going to transform this into a new hat with my new block. So I sprayed it with water and put it in a plastic bag and left it in the refrigerator overnight just so that the water could soak in. And I think I'm going to give it another spritz while we're here. Because the way you work with felt is to get it good and moist. Now, as you see, I have this Jiffy steamer, an industrial style. There you go. You can see it better. I'm going to try to get this good and damp, warm it up really, really well, and get it good and soft. Because, as you see, this blank has a crown. And that's going to need to be flattened out on this beret block. This is a structured beret. It's not a flat, soft beret like we're used to seeing, but a beret that is made into a beret shape on a block so that it's quite structured. Now, as you see, as it gets soft, it pulls. So I'm going to pull it a little bit. Pull it the other direction a little bit. You want to be careful. You don't want to tear it. You just want to get it good and soft. And we'll see if we can get this to stretch over my brand new structured beret block. I'm going to move this back now so you can see what I'm doing here. Now, what I do is I stretch it in opposite directions at the same time. You see that? But we have this bunch here at the top that we're going to have to deal with. So I'm going to go back to the steam. You want to keep it warm and wet. A mistake that many of my students have made in the past is they get so busy pulling that they forget. And then it gets harder to work with when it's cold. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to start pinning just so that I don't have to have 5 hands while I do this. I have some push pins here, which I will poke in. Let me see if I have my hammer. Yes, I do have a hammer. It's a bit of a challenge getting it to flatten out, but I've done it before. I can do it again. You can see on this block a lot of pinholes from previous uses. Here we go. Now I'm going to use my hands to gently sculpt this down. The tricky thing about this block is there's not a ridge where I can tie it with a cord. So it's all going to have to be done with pins, which is doable. I'll pull this. I'm going to get my hammer so I can just tack these push pins down a little stronger. And of course my glasses fog up while I'm doing this because of the steam. I'm going to take my glasses off. Here we go, it's getting there. I think I just blew a fuse. But you get the idea. We're almost there. Didn't blow a fuse. Just tripped over a wire, I guess. Whoopsie. You see, as you see, it takes a fair amount of time and patience, but we're almost there. Again, go back to the steam. There, almost done. As you see how flat we've gotten it? That Back to the steam. Pulled a hole. But that's okay. It's not in this spot where it's going to matter. That's my surge protector that keeps popping off. I think the steamer is taking up so much energy. It's overloading the circuit, so we'll see if we can squeeze by here. I'm almost finished with the blocking part. Now, what I want to show you is you want to start brushing. I'm going to switch to the lighter weight steamer so that we don't keep having these electrical issues. Be right back. There we go. Now I'm going to steam and brush and try to smooth it out nicely. But this is how we block a structured beret. This part needs to be just a little bit more. Pull this one. Got my push pin stuck in the block here. That's what pliers are good for. So, what you do now, this is sort of a dirty felt, so there are marks on it, but I'll take some sandpaper to that later. But what I'm going to do now is just brush it and let it dry on the block. It will shrink a little bit more and smooth out. And as you see, we have all this extra felt. But how do we figure the head size on a block like this? Well, I'm going to show you. We're going to set this one aside, and I'm going to show you another hat that I made on the same block. This beauty is the same block I'm going to take it off the lady here. And as you see, I finished off on the inside the way I had figured out how to measure the head size, I thought about it for a while because there's no, like I said, there's no brim edge on that block. So what I did was I measured a piece of millinery wire like this in my head size plus 1 inch, overlapped the 1 inch, wired it shut with my number 30 tie wire, and I just laid it on top of the felt where I had blocked it and cut the felt. I tie tacked it with a needle and thread in the four corners. It's don't really have corners on a circle, but you get the idea. And we ended up with something like this, you see. So when I cut off the excess felt, I then stitched the wire to the edge of the felt and then covered it with a biased edge. And then, let's brush some of the, just popped I've got yellow on my brush, and so I'm getting yellow on my green hat, but you get the idea. So it pops in and turns into a lovely little hat, which I trimmed with a little feather trim. So anyway, keep your eye out for treasures like these. You never know where they're going to pop up. In fact, we walked past this booth and I didn't see the hat block. My friend Jerry, who's taller than me, spotted it and pointed it out. And boy, am I glad he did, because I will make some nice hats with this. So, enjoy. And why not a hat?